Hi, Neil here. Welcome back. Hopefully, we are talking about a moral theory called utilitarianism, and has its first modern articulation in Jeremy Bentham, who, as we said previously, died in 1832. You've hopefully read the excerpt. Morality is Utility. It's from a book by Bentham called The Principles of Morals and Legislation. So let's start this way. I mean, you've read the that short piece, Morality is Utility. You can see how confusing and how difficult it is. The language is not a common language. It's certainly not how we speak today. It's certainly not how we write today. And there's lots of flourish in it, which does not help the understanding. And so, in one sense, I want to say that Bentham's theory, as we have it so far, it seems more complicated than perhaps it is. As you may remember, Bentham had as one of his goals in writing a moral theory the idea that it should be simple, and also the other two ideas, as I said, that it was simple, precise, exact, and complete. But this idea that Bentham has that his moral theory should be simple sort of launches us into the basic idea behind the basic sense behind what he's doing, and that is that we pretty much believe that morality is about helping other people. It's about doing what is good or what is right for other people. Bentham, I think, catches that in his moral theory, and I think it's one of the how do I say, invigorating insights of what he's doing. When we are dealing with thinking about morality, as I say, we are frequently thinking about what is good for other people, what is in other people's interests. When Bentham talks about the community, what is in the interest of the community, and we read that in my first lecture on this, what is in the interest of the community. We talked about it in terms of its mathematical sounding nature, but Bentham is very much interested in this idea of what is in the community interest. And so one of the terms that I had you look up, or hopefully that you understand, is this idea of altruism. Altruism, I suppose one way of saying it, is concern for others. It's the opposite of selfishness. It's the opposite of concern, exclusive concern for oneself. When we're being altruistic, we are acting in some other person's interest. We are helping other people. And so what Bentham is talking about, his insight is that utilitarianism, or a moral theory, and the moral theory that he articulates, utilitarianism, is about what is good for other people. What is moral means what is good for other people. It's about an altruistic idea, this altruistic sense of helping other people. So one clarification, hopefully, of what Bentham is at, even in his short little piece that I assigned already. One clarification is that Bentham is talking about this fundamental intuition that morality is helping others. And I want to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, and that, as I just said that Bentham sort of gets our general intuition that morality is about helping others. Well, this idea of intuition is an important one in ethics and probably in many other fields, that with some exceptions and qualifications. But with morality especially, we one of the ways that we think about how whether a moral theory is correct or not is whether it conforms to the general intuition that human beings seem to have. And if the theory of what is right and wrong does not correspond pretty well with our intuition about what is right and wrong, then the moral theory is probably not a very good one. In other words, we have a wide intuitive sense as human beings. We have a wide agreement as human beings what is right and what is wrong. So I think we probably would all agree that uh, it's right to keep your promises. It's right to tell the truth, and right not it's right not to lie. We probably all agree pretty much that a good person is one who helps other people. A good person, a good friend, is one who is there for one's friend, and we could go on with a probably pretty long list. And so one of the notions here is that it is very unlikely that that a moral theory that suggests that, in other words, principles in a moral theory that suggests that it's morally correct to lie to others, that a moral theory that suggests that it's right to break your promises, that a moral theory that it's right to use others for your own selfish purposes, it's probably correct to suggest that a moral theory that implied all those things, which are so antithetical, so opposite to our regular everyday intuition, it's probably true to say that a moral theory that suggested all those opposites of our regular moral intuition would be correct. And so one of the ways that we think about this is that we critique a moral theory is by comparing it to our general intuition. And one of the main purposes of a moral theory, and what we are studying here, which I've previously named as normative ethics, which is about the standards of right and wrong and how we explain those standards. It's probably true to say that a normative ethical theory that seem to imply that the things that our general intuition agrees about, keeping your promises, not lying, not using other people for our own selfish interests, and harming other people, and so on. It seems correct to say that a moral theory that suggests all those things would be wrong. And so we have to pay attention to our moral intuitions. It's very important. I should probably add here, that might sound strange, but we tend to focus, particularly in our culture and maybe particularly at this time, we tend to focus on moral disagreements, and moral disagreements seem to rule our moral conversations. When in fact the point that I'm making is that most of our moral sense, most of our moral intuition, most of us agree probably about the basics. Honesty is good. Truth is good. Helping other people is good. Those things are not harming other people is good. Not harming them is good. So while we focus in our culture on moral disagreements and moral controversy, we probably mostly have in common our intuitions about morality. And so when we look at, when we critique or think about a moral theory like Jeremy Bentham's, we're using our general moral intuitions. The question is, does our general moral intuition confirm or disagree with what Jeremy Bentham might be saying, the implications of his moral theory? Now, the reason I went off on that is because my claim here is that what looks at first like a very complicated moral theory, and it does have a lot of complexity to it when we get in and a lot of confusing aspects. But what looks at first like a very confusing moral theory, Jeremy Bentham probably is developing his moral theory from this general, widely agreed upon intuition or moral sense that we have that what is good is what helps other people, is what is in other people's interests. And so and so Bentham develops his theory from that. What is in other people's interests? What does it mean to help other people? What does it mean to benefit other people? So that idea is fundamental to Jeremy Bentham's moral theory. Um, so we have to start with that idea. Now, one of the questions that Bentham is going to talk about is what does it mean to benefit other people? What is it if I want to benefit you, if I want to help you, if I want to do something good for you, what since that's our general moral idea, being a morally good person means, or doing the morally right thing means helping others. How is it that I know that I am helping you or helping other people? And that's a very important part of this, how of Bentham's theory, and that's where it gets confusing, perhaps. And so one of the questions is how. A major question: how do I know when I'm benefiting someone else? How do I know when I'm helping someone else? What is the sign? What is the mark of a beneficial moral act? And this is key for Bentham. And I think what I'm going to do here is try this new thing, and I'm going to keep this down to 12 minutes and do another video. This is something that we should think about. This my sort of first notion of this, and so I'm going to call this episode 1 on Jeremy Bentham's moral theory in a more specific way. So I'll be back soon with episode 2 that will clarify this question: what does it mean to help other people?